Hello and welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast, starring myself, Cracked Zero. With me is Alex, and with us, only in spirit, is Charlie.
Yes. So, for those of you who didn't know, Charlie is no longer with us. He has traveled to the Shadow Realm to fight off monsters in search of Jeff. It looks like the loss of the Boston Bruins hit him harder than he expected, and he hasn't really been quite right since the World Cup of Hockey, if you will. I don't know what it's called, but it's okay because Charlie's not here to correct me on it.
We just know that there's people on ice skates and they like have hockey sticks and they hit around a puck.
Yeah.
So
he's gone on to challenge the bad guys from the Mighty Ducks 1 and 2 with Jeff.
We don't actually know how hockey works, so I assume this is all a part of what normally happens.
Yeah, they were playing a round of hockey, if you will, and so he's battling for the soul of Jeff in the Shadow Realm. So hopefully he'll be back next week, and there'll be redemption for the Boston Bruins. But as of right now. This is the Henry and Alex cast. Yes.
Yes, the puns will flow freely.
Oh yeah, that's right. Any childhood dreams and things you like Star Trek and Pop-Tarts, shall not be ruined this week. This is a friendly cast. There is nothing for Charlie to crush your spirits on. So
and as it's just the two of us, we're literally you're going to spend an hour talking about WoW. And I'm going to spend an hour talking about my NES.
I like this. This episode's great. It's amazing. See, for people who don't know, Charlie really stifles down the creativity here at the Wicked Awesome Cast, and he holds us down. We want to talk about things that we enjoy. Like, I can rant about WoW for an hour, but Charlie's like, no, we're a video game podcast. We got to move on. Let's pull in the reins. And Henry's like, but I want to talk about my NES. There's so many good things about it. I know it's X amount of years old, but it's topical now. And he's like, no. And then he's like, whips us over the internet, and we get into shape, and then we just do our thing. So,
yeah, today is unfiltered.
Yeah. So, okay. So I feel a little guilty. Maybe I think for just in Charlie's honor, we should do this last episode normal, and then, next week, it'll be the full-on Henry and Alex cast, I think.
Henry and Alex talk about WoW and old consoles.
The WoW and NES cast, yes. So, stay tuned next week, unless Charlie comes back from the Shadow Realm. But, yeah. But really, Charlie's out sick this week. So, we decided to fill in, and he basically let the mice play this week, so we're going to have fun, do our thing. I don't think we'll deter too much. We've got some pretty good news. Couple really fun palate cleansers. We've got some good some good news. We've got some video game people are going to be video game people news. So
I forgot to mention what number episode this is. This is what happens when the master is away. We literally forget everything. So, this is number 160.
Mhm. 160. Yeah. So, I think before we jump into the fun stuff, Henry, go ahead and tell us about your week, sir.
Well, as for me, Shadowrun Dragonfall, actually all the Shadowrun games were running on sale, and that was super cool. And I picked up Shadowrun Dragonfall for literally $3 on Steam.
Oh, nice.
I like the system. There's only little bitty things, really small things that kind of bug me about the Shadowrun game engine, but all in all, I really like the game engine a lot. I mean, I like tactical games like this. I like tactical RPGs, and in general, and this is a good one. I've heard, I've heard different things about the plot, but as far as the game mechanics are sharp. They are super good. And a bit different from similar and different from other things I've played. It's quite similar to, I'd say, XCOM, the way XCOM works, where you have action points and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been moving through it and I've been enjoying it. It's a classic RPG, which I also enjoy. I mean, there's basically one way through the narrative, at least with the narrative that's packed with it, which is nice that you can also create your own scenarios apparently pretty easily with the Shadowrun game engine. But yeah, with the one that's packed in with Dragonfall, I'm actually enjoying it a little bit better than the one that came with Shadowrun Returns. And it's a wider reaching one, and I feel like the conclusion will be more satisfactory. The conclusion to the other one was, I don't know, after so much interesting character development and build up, the end just seemed, I don't know, it rang a little hollow, I guess, to a certain extent, because it just didn't bring in enough of the characters that they had built up for it. Like, it didn't involve many of them in the plot. Whereas in this one, every character has an really interesting backstory that you get to actually take part in. And that's super cool. And so your entire crew has these really cool things going on, really cool backstories, and you play a major part in that, and it's really cool. So, I mean, I've been really enjoying Dragonfall a lot. Even if I don't know, I haven't finished with it yet, so I don't know what the conclusion is going to be like. So, have you played the Shadowrun games?
I've heard of them, but no, none of the newer ones. Mainly on any of the older ones, I've dabbled in, but not like any of the newer ones.
You mean the older ones, as in the ones for the SNES and Genesis, or?
I can't remember which one it was. I remember I played a Shadowrun game a long time ago, but I honestly can't remember how long ago it's been.
Well, I mean, these aren't. Dragonfall isn't particularly new, even though I think the director's cut, which is what I've been playing, is a little bit newer of a release.
I think I may be confusing it with something else, actually. Am I? Yeah, I'm looking up Shadowrun just to make sure. Yeah, no, I haven't played this one before. I was confusing it with some other. What was I confusing it with? Damn it! A game called Shadowfall.
Okay.
Was it? I'm so confused right now. Not Killzone Shadowfall, but there was another one a long time ago. But I can't remember it. I'm sorry. The name sounded familiar, but I confused it with something else.
Yeah. So in the past, I have actually played a lot of Shadowrun just as a tabletop game. I've played every edition from second on up, at least a few games of them, and so I'm very familiar with the system and how it's evolved over the years. But yeah, I like the world because it mixes the cyber with the magic. I mean, there's elves and dragons in Shadowrun, as well as really cool cyber tech and biotech. So, I mean, I like the universe around it. I guess that's one of the things that drew me to it, rather than playing Cyberpunk, which, as we know, Cyberpunk was also a tabletop game that came out around the same time.
Okay.
But Cyberpunk is it doesn't have magic in it. It doesn't have the fantasy stuff in it, whereas Shadowrun basically is all the cyber stuff, and we also throw in fantasy and magic stuff too, and see how that meshes with a sort of a gritty Blade Runner-esque world. You know, But yeah, it's been a great ride. I've been enjoying. I've been doing all the side quests because I always do that in RPGs. Do you tend to run the side quests?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost an addiction because I'll do a lot of the side quests to make sure I'm caught up before I do the main quest. I did that a lot, especially in Division 2, where I'll go off on a tangent and do a bunch of side quest shit I don't need to do, and then I'm way over level for the main quest. But it's just
that's happened to me so much.
Yeah.
On games. So, I've done that on Rift, where there's not Rift, but Terra, because in MMOs there's it's such a big world and there's so many side quests. Oh, I end up horribly over leveled for everything I do because I do everything. Because I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool. Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a really bad habit. I have I've done that before. I know especially in Final Fantasy 14, I've done that where you do a bunch of the side quests, and next thing you know, you're way over the level for the normal quest, and that's actually it's not a bad thing, but it's a waste of time in Final Fantasy 14 when it's a new character because you get this crazy experience buff. So if you do the main quest, you don't have to do any of the side quests because you get more than enough experience doing the main quest stuff to get through in power level. So it actually becomes a burden to do side quests in the very beginning as a new character, which is kind of odd, but it's their catch-up mechanic, which works in a weird way. So, or that's one of the catch-up mechanics.
See, I never played that, but that's one thing that Final Fantasy has been doing for a little while now is this better RPG balance that's not grindy. So I'm not talking against grind. I mean, grind can be enjoyable. And other types of RPGs, for instance, Dragon Quest still now tends to be a bit grindy. Whereas modern Final Fantasy, you could pretty much run through the game and never grind, and you'll be fine. I remember the first time I played an RPG that felt like that was really Final Fantasy VII. You can just run through the game's main quest, and you'll always be right about at the level you should be at. The only reason you'd be grinding is maybe if you want Chocobo, which you have to grind a little bit for that to mate and find the right Chocobo. And if you want to get super good materia, leveling up all the materia. But other than that, if you don't really care about that, it's not really required for you to have a bunch of master materia. I did in the end, but you can really just roll through the entire game, and I like well-balanced RPGs. Shadowrun is a even more straightforward RPG, I would say, and in that there's plenty of side quests, but it is pretty much singular in its direction, but whereas Final Fantasy VII is more wide open, so is 6 as well. I mean, a little bit more wide open, but 7 especially. But yeah, with Shadowrun Dragonfall, you don't have to do the side quests. You would probably be leveled up just enough if you didn't do any of them, but I'd say it'd be a lot harder. It's still kind of challenging, because the way the game system runs is, you don't gain more, you can kind of gain more hit points, but that's not the way the leveling system works. For those not familiar, it works via a system called Karma, and you basically just spend those Karma points on improving your stats. Instead of gaining levels, per se, there's no levels in Shadowrun. You just have more Karma that you can spend towards upping your stats, such as strength and quickness and body and whatnot. But that's been taking up a lot of my time because it's an RPG, so I've been doing mostly that. I will mention this, and because I'm going to be watching it off and on, is Summer Games Done Quick, SGDQ, is starting this week.
Oh, nice.
If those listening, if you're not familiar with GDQs in general, you can go to gamesdonequick.com and find out more information, but it is a 24/7 charity. So it's for a full week, and it is a 24-hour charity where people will be speed running games. They'll be speed running games the entire time. The schedule's set up, so it's not just random. It's absolutely set up, and so you can go on there, you can see the schedule, and if you're interested in seeing your favorite game played very quickly for a good charity, then I'd check it out. The summer ones are, the charity for the Summer Games Done Quick is Doctors Without Borders, which that is one of my absolute favorite charities. I give to them anyways, just throughout the year, because I like them as a charity so much. Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, also known as Doctors Without Borders, fantastic organization. But yeah, SGDQ is supporting that, Everything, all of the money goes straight to the charities because their overhead is usually covered by the various sponsors.
Yeah.
And so everything that's actually donated, so when they have the number at the bottom, like it's regularly in the millions now on how much they raise during the week.
They crush it every year now. Like the last few years, they've always crushed it, and they always pick really good charities. Like I'm always happy with the charities they pick for that.
Yeah, and so it's so that's starting this week. It's super cool. I always catch it. I mean, of course, nobody watches the whole thing, but I have attended it once, which was a cool experience. I did that several years ago, like 5 years ago. But it's awesome. It's for a good cause. It's fun. If you like to see really skilled people playing games optimally, as optimal as possible, as well as and the thing is, they also have raffles. So if you give a certain amount of money during certain times, as well as there's some raffles for the entire time, there's tons of cool prizes you can get just by donating. So if you donated above a certain price point, you're automatically entered into several various raffles. So also, so that's also an additional incentive to give. But yeah, I mentioned that as that is something I will be doing over the next week. I will have that on. It's on. You can go on their main site, and it is on Twitch. It's on the Games Done Quick channel as well. And so that's one thing I'll be doing next week. I'll have that on probably on my computer a lot. I mainly spent a lot of the week just really playing Dragon Ball. To be honest, I like to, with tactical stuff. I also tend to take my time and be really slow for each mission. But anyways, that was my week. What about you?
I had a pretty good week actually. So, Bloodstained just came out. Got released earlier, and I was a backer pretty early on because I've always been a big fan of like the Castlevania-esque games, if you will. I didn't get a chance to play the NES ones I take it back. I did play a few of the NES games a long time ago, but I think my first really big exposure to Castlevania was actually Symphony of the Night,
as it was for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I really like Symphony of the Night, but I also really enjoyed the Castlevania franchise in general. Because I played all the Nintendo 64 Castlevania games. Those were their first take on the 3D setup for Castlevania.
They're not bad considering.
No, they're great actually. I had a lot of fun playing them.
They're impressive. They get some flack because of some funny choices. For example, skeletons on motorcycles, but it's fun. It actually, the game plays pretty well. I mean, for an early 3D game in general, it plays pretty. They play pretty well, and they have some kind of cool designs and stories, and they're fun. Yeah.
The mechanics and the gameplay and everything are solid. Considering it could have easily become a Superman 64 type of scenario, this design decisions aside, on the skeleton motorcycle thing, I thought it was a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Really well done. So, I've been a fan of the Castlevania franchise for some time now. I think for a while I even played some of the Game Boy games that came out. Like Aria of Sorrow, I believe was one of them. I even watched the anime on Netflix. Have you watched that show, by the way?
Just an episode of it, oddly enough, though I usually didn't watch a lot of anime and game-related stuff. I actually haven't watched it all, so.
When you have a chance, you should definitely check it out. It's not English subtitled. It's actually English language, like not dubbed, but like it's good.
Yeah. I've heard great things about it. So
yeah, they're up to 2 seasons now. The voice acting's solid, and it's a nice, like, I don't think it's a story they've done yet. It's technically Simon Belmont, I think, at this time, or is it Simon? I forget which Belmont it is, but it's a Belmont that first like works with Alucard in some sense and all that. So it's really well done, and it's an interesting take on Dracula, and like It explains how he had like it adds an interesting twist on like it explains his castle. It goes over like how like he summons the minions of hell and all that. It's really interesting. I thought it was really good. I highly recommend it. They're down to 2 seasons right now. I'm hoping they'll do a third, but I think they will, considering like how well received it was. At least I've heard good things about it. I haven't heard a lot of people complain about it, so yeah. I'll just say that. But yeah, no, it's good. So I obviously when I found out the guy who worked on Symphony of the Night is working on a new game, I went on ahead and easily kickstarted. Like there was no hesitation at all. I kickstarted the a decent tier for Bloodstained. So the game officially released, and I have I guess there's a DLC that came out with it that I also got free. So I'm playing through that a little bit, and I like it. It feels good. It feels smooth. I do really kind of enjoy the weapon mechanics. They have a couple little hidden elements which I really enjoy from Symphony of the Night, where like you can turn into a bat, but if you do a certain key command with the D-pad and then the action button, he does a special attack of sorts. Like weapons have that kind of mechanic, if you will, and their explanation for demons and shard powers is really interesting. So
yeah, I have not played it. I mean, and I've mentioned it several times before that I didn't back it because I wasn't sure if I would buy it or not, and I haven't bought it yet, and I still don't know because I don't know. There's so many other good, just even Metroidvanias out there, but this one looks well polished. I mean, of the Kickstarter stuff that had been funded, I knew this would get made. I mean, that's the thing. I just knew for certain this would get made because I looked at the teams he was bringing in, and it wasn't like, hey, I'm a lone guy and I'm just going to try to make this work. It's, I'm going to literally bring in every single professional team that's really good at doing this type of stuff, that has games under their belt and knows how to do this stuff. And yeah, they super got it done, and it's, as far as I know, it's a high quality piece of software. I mean, so that's impressive.
Yeah. No, I think he did really well. And I like that he stayed true to it. There is actually, there was a release date trailer that he released. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but it basically talks about where it has a lot of the YouTube comments, the backer comments who are talking about how, it looks all right, but some of the background stuff looks a little bit like washed out. It's not as exciting. And it does a montage of all that. And then it recreates the scene where like Dracula's sitting at the table drinking a glass of wine, and he's like, fools, and he throws the glass of wine to the side. Yeah. He recreates that, and then they announce that they actually have been working this whole time on really updating all the background graphics and the aesthetics. I mean,
did people not think that they would fix things since the demo?
Yeah, I think people were just kind of concerned. And, I mean, I get it, it's a Kickstarted game, so there is some concern on all that, but It was. I liked the way he addressed it. That was like, fools, this isn't even my final form in a way. And then he like reveals the updated like design, and everything looks so well polished. It looks really nice.
Yeah, so, the end product looks fantastic. And the thing is, there again, looking at the teams involved in bringing this to life, I was like, yeah, they're going to actually make a game, and it's probably going to be pretty solid. Because, it's just, unlike other Kickstarters that I've seen, which are just kind of like, oh, we'll assemble some people and do a thing, this one was really specific. We are hiring these specific people to do these specific things. We're hiring these companies in to do these things. So that just told me this guy knows how to be a producer. Big part of producer is bringing in all the right people. And they did that, and so I'm not surprised that it's a high-quality thing, but I'm still not sure if I'm going to buy it. I'll probably end up buying it at some point, but not immediately, not today.
If you like Metroidvanias, I would recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that, and I do like them. I mean, the thing is, I even own Symphony of the Night. I own the Saturn version of it.
Which is, I think, what, the best one, was it? No.
No. It's an interesting one because it contains 2 extra rooms, a couple of extra weapons, but more than that, it contains a Maria mode. The original Maria mode.
Oh, that's right.
With the older Maria, because the newer one has the younger Maria or something in Maria mode. No, this one has the older, super overpowered Maria mode, where she has like 5 times the health of the Belmont. What he starts with anyway. Richter Belmont. She has like she starts out with 5 times the health he does, so she can take way more hits. Oh, by the way, if you are playing on Maria Richter mode, they do gain life if you get the health pickups for them. They actually, it does extend their life meter. It's just not obvious because there's no number.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, but she starts with like 4 or 5 times the life he does, and she starts with super overpowered magic powers, and she even has one she can cast to become invincible for a very long time. And not only are you invincible, you do like super damage when you touch anybody. She has this ridiculous one where she shoots out a blue dragon, and you can just spin it around the screen. While it's on the screen, you're invincible, and you control the dragon. It's like a Gradius dragon, and you can just spin it around the screen and just do super damage with it. So yeah, she's super, super broken. But it doesn't look as good because in the port, instead of doing transparency, it's a lot of dithering, and dithering looks like crap, to be honest, on it. So the dithering versus the transparency, it looks really rough. And so yeah, there's some loading issues too, but yeah, that's the version I have. But anyways, Bloodstained. I went completely off topic.
Yeah.
But
well, it like I said, it's if you want to give it a round, it's I definitely say it's a game worth picking up, especially if you like Symphony of the Night. Yeah, I've been playing that since it released. Haven't touched Destiny 2 this week, unfortunately, but I do want to finish up the campaigns, and of course, WoW, because there's a new WoW patch coming out next week, and I'll talk about some of that in the actual rundown of all the stuff, because it's a really interesting. It's an interesting take now that, like, when you hear I won't go too far into it, but yeah, we'll talk about some of that WoW stuff too. But yeah, basically WoW and Bloodstained have taken up my gaming news stuff this week. As far as real life stuff, not much really went on this week. It's been kind of okay. I did actually have. So I thought this past Friday I was gonna get my wisdom teeth extracted from my mouth. But I went there, and it turns out it wasn't actually the day of extraction. It was the consultation prior to the extraction.
well, that would have put you and Charlie out for this.
Yeah, but it was funny because I'm like, okay, I'm taking the week off. Well, not the week. I'm taking the day off. So I had put in the request to my boss. I said, hey, yeah, I'm taking the day off because I have my appointment. And so I put it in as vacation, and he's like, vacation to the dentist isn't really a vacation unless you're into pain and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I replied back, no, I'm not into that. That's not my thing. But now, if I do say that in an email, it seems like I'm kind of hiding the fact that I am, and now it's awkward. Okay, well, if you don't want me to come back, I understand. I had a good run. So he commented on that recently, which I thought was kind of funny. So, yeah, but it was that was overall disappointing because I thought I was going to get over with, but no, my extraction isn't until later. But it's okay. It's all right. Gives me time to plan ahead. But yeah, apparently it's going to be relatively kind of a pain only because it's the bottom wisdom teeth. So,
see, I had to have mine extracted a long time ago when I was still a teenager. The thing is, I not only had them surgically extracted, but I also had like some other teeth pulled simply because I just had too many teeth in my mouth to fit. And so they were all just turned and messed up. So. But yeah, and that put me out for a long time. I mean, so but you're just getting it on your just your wisdom teeth. So.
Yeah, because I guess I already had my top ones taken out a long time ago. but the bottom ones stayed there forever, and so I think they're just time for them to go. They've outlived their stay, if you will. So, yeah, I look forward to getting that done with. It's gonna be good. Tired of it. So, anyway, yeah, that's it for me. Do we have anything else on the news, or that's it? No, Charlie, tell us about your. Oh, wait, no, he's not here.
Yeah. Oh, Charlie.
Wah, wah. Yeah, we can only do that joke so many times.
So I guess we move on to news.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a lot of news this week. Actually, there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit happened. I mean, I guess it. But I will say this: it's a little quieter than I thought it might be for post E3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, like, for lack of a better phrase, E3 blew its load really early before actual E3 happened. So I'm kind of not surprised they don't have any more news right now.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
we were getting leaks and everything out like a week and a half prior to E3, and like,
yeah, the ever lengthening E3, the ever lengthening E3 process. But yeah, but also I did expect it. It usually does quiet down a good bit because they've kind of got everything out of their system. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, let's roll right into a post E3 news. All right, so apparently the Cyberpunk demo, the first playable demo, at least for public consumption, will be at PAX West. So they're calling that PAX West now? I thought it was just PAX Original. Anyways.
Well, I think because there's so many PAXs now. Like, you've got, PAX South, PAX East.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just figure they just throw it on there, I guess.
But yeah, so they are going to be, it's only been shown off, just to us in screens and stuff, but they will have apparently a playable demo.
Mm.
But yeah, I guess there again, I mean, we know that CD Projekt Red has come under fire for the whole, as well as many other companies for working their devs so hard, for crunch time and such. And so I hope that they aren't just super crunch timing people to make this arbitrary date so that they have a playable demo. So yeah, I mean, there again, I don't like these sort of artificial dates for, we're going to make sure we have this thing by this. I don't know. I hope it's actually a date where, we actually have a demo and it will be ready. Not, we're going to make everybody super rush so that we have a playable demo for this big convention. So, but yeah, I think it'll be neat to actually see some gameplay, to see how the game mechanics work, because the thing is, like, for me, I don't care I care a certain amount how pretty a game is. I can't say I don't. I like how a game looks. I like the game feel. I like a good story, something that feels engaging. But for me, it's mechanics that make or break a game. And if the game has blah mechanics, or if they're just boring, even, I won't be interested. I mean, if it doesn't have anything new to add, in terms of this being, if it just feels like, for example, like Deus Ex when it comes to augmenting, I want to see if it's. I really want to see if it's going to provide something interesting in terms of game mechanics. Because honestly, like, for me, The Witcher, what little I played of it, didn't have any real game mechanics that were special. Did you play the Witcher series?
I have not, actually. I mean, I've heard really good things about the last Witcher, but no, I didn't play Witcher.
Okay, so I guess it's a little unfair to dump on it a bit, but I just didn't feel like its mechanics there's nothing new there or interesting. I mean, alright, so I'll put it this way. When one of the most famous things about your game is a card game played within your game, that doesn't say a lot for your game mechanics. I mean, we know that the stories for them are, I mean, that's one thing that is well known. The stories are great, but the game mechanics were just same as any other similar action RPG.
Mm.
Nothing special there. When you can obviously do special things there. I mean, I can name, the Devil May Cry series and Bayonetta and things like that. That you could do cool things with with action. But yeah, I don't know. I want to see what Cyberpunk 2077 has to offer in terms of game mechanics, because that's what we haven't seen any of. But yeah.
Yeah, no, aesthetically it looks great.
Yeah, but all we got was a Keanu.
Yeah, I mean, granted, Keanu's great, and for me, I love some Keanu personally, and I've liked him for a long time now. But I think it really solidified for me because he did The Matrix, and I know people shit on The Matrix like sequels, but I did enjoy him a lot. But yeah, we haven't seen any gameplay. We've seen a lot of cinematic fun stuff so far, but yeah, that's all we've seen for the time being. But
yep. Well, continue on for sort of a little bit of about E3 in the larger sense. So apparently there are fewer attendees, not by that much less. And especially in comparison to seeing, apparently last year's was one of the biggest they've ever had. I think it was the highest. Well, yeah, it's one of the highest turnouts they've ever had for it. But even still, so it means that, yeah, it's not exactly shrinking too much. I mean, it barely, so it shrunk by about 3,000. That's not too much, considering that it had 66,100. And so, yeah, that's less, I guess, but that's still a ton. I mean, it is returning, but yeah, I will have to see.
Well, you gotta also remember Sony skipped out. Like,
yeah,
Sony wasn't there, and who else wasn't there this year?
I mean, Google did their Stadia thing really early on.
Yeah.
Sony was the real big missing one. So, I mean, and that's pretty huge. I mean, that's the major part of the gaming market right now is PlayStation. So, I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, I have to see if any other companies are going to be like, I don't know if we want to do this year. If they want to do their own, which means they get to control the narrative completely and control the environment completely. But yeah.
Did they say anything about how many were industry and how many were public passes? I don't see anything there.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that breakdown.
Yeah, that's actually more interesting to me than just the. That's a good point. I will have to say that is more interesting to me than just the sheer numbers. Yeah, I'd be more interested in seeing how many were industry and how many were just guests or general attendees.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if it was like more industry people decided not to go this year. And what's it called? Yeah, it would be surprising if the industry numbers went down, but the public numbers went up. So
yeah, I think, and that's something they all like. I think it's an interesting thing. Just what I remember when they first allowing general attendees in, period, rather than it just being industry and press. I think it's still it still doesn't know its identity anymore in the modern era. It doesn't know if it wants to be a straight up convention or if it still just wants to be a giant commercial. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and I don't know. I mean, if it's just a convention, we have tons of conventions. It's just that this is a convention that's just basically a several day long commercial for multiple companies. But yeah, I don't know. So, what shall we talk about next?
Let's see. Okay. Is there any more E3 related stuff there, or not E3? Let's do some juicy stuff here.
All right.
Here we go. Let's go with this one here. Randy Pitchford.
Oh God, more Randy Pitchford news.
Oh yeah, everyone's favorite Gearbox person seems to have diverted funds from Gearbox to a side company. not exactly clear if it's a legal thing to do or not.
Hmm.
And it's funny considering, wasn't there a controversy a couple months ago where he had a USB flash drive full of porn and other stuff? And yeah, so it wasn't.
Porn and corporate documents, like trade secret type stuff.
Oh.
Wow, why are you carrying that around? Period.
Why is your drive fucking encrypted? Is my next question. Like, encrypt your drive. Windows gives you a free encryption software with your fucking computer. Just encrypt your shit.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, we tried to make it as easy as possible to have some security, but yeah, that was the thing. But yeah, so apparently more and more evidence is coming out that he pretty much stole a bunch of money. Essentially, he siphoned a bunch of money to himself and put it into a side company.
Yeah, apparently it looks like 12 million plus
another.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
like, this makes me not want to buy Borderlands 3. Like, if this guy's involved in it, I don't want
to. This again goes to my rather long rant last week, which was basically, if we're going to send a message, then it has to come from multiple avenues. That is, on one hand, you have your workers should strike when your CEO is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Because to teach them a lesson that, you may be the highest paid person here, but your job doesn't exist without us. If we aren't actually creating products, you have nothing. Nothing. So, and that message needs to be made very clear. But also I believe that that the consumers should also be like, we're not going to buy your stuff if your CEO is garbage. So, the studio is still denying all of the allegations, but this is moving forward. I mean, the trial date has been set and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it'll go to trial. I think it'd be interesting if it does. I mean, I think Gearbox is going to be the one that's going to be desperate to make for it not to go to trial, that they much rather go to a settlement of some type. Because I mean, they're being dragged through the mud right now, and this is new. This is PR that they don't need, especially when they're about to release Borderlands 3. So, but there again, it's like, I don't know how much anybody will care about it, unfortunately. But anyways,
that's the sad reality in this scenario.
Yeah, but I kind of hope it does go to trial. But I'm going to say that Gearbox is going to be so desperate to just get this out of the news cycle that they're just going to throw money at it. They're just going to be like, here, take a big settlement, please. It's all going to be if Callender, the person drawing the suit, Wade Callender, if it's going to be up to him, really. I mean, the ball's really in his court. Like I said, I'm pretty sure at this point, Gearbox just wants it out of the news. Yeah. They don't, But this is, I mean, the details of this are scummy. I mean, it's just, I mean, he diverted money over to a company. He diverted money that's not his. But he used his power as an executive to move that money over. I don't know what all was involved with that, but that's really scummy. Because that's money that could have gone to, the people making the products at Gearbox. 15 million. But thank you, Randy Pitchford, for continuing to be absolute trash.
I feel like we should have a weekly segment on what did Randy Pitchford do this week that's garbage.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Well, we could probably throw in a bunch of different people, like, what was the garbage person or garbage action of a company for the week? Who knows?
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of candidates for that this week, but we'll save those for a little bit later here. But let's see. Go ahead and pick the next one.
All right, let's maybe go. all right, all right, so let's talk a little bit about Stadia. All right, so apparently, all right, so well, all right, so this is Destiny 2 news, so I guess this would interest you. I'm me as a person that's not actually playing Destiny 2, but apparently, yeah, while we know that Destiny 2 is going to have cross save over PC, PS4, Xbox One, which is super cool, but they're apparently they're not going to have crossplay when it comes to Stadia.
Yeah, technically it's not crossplay. It's cross save.
Cross save. Cross save.
So you're able to save your progress on one character on PS4, jump on the PC, and play that same character right where you left off. For some reason, the Stadia edition is going to be its own thing, separate from that, which is stupid because one of the biggest demands that people had for Destiny 2 was the ability to crossplay in the first place. Yep. And now you're introducing a new ecosystem where you can't access your crossplay shit. Yeah,
that's weird, especially considering you have the other, the major platforms all with the cross save, and then you have this one, the one that you're trying to sell as being convenient, is not going to have crossplay. So I don't know why or how that went down. I have some ideas of why, to be honest. I'm going to say part of it is because of the amount of, because that would mean that Google would have to keep the saves as well online, because it wouldn't be stored on your device, because I think very little is stored on your device, just basically that you own the game or whatever. I mean, that's all. Or the Stadia system will just be like, register when you buy the game on it, and you register it and play it. But I think it's probably because they just don't want to put the saves in the cloud.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, and so far Stadia sounds less and less and less appealing now.
Yeah, especially, I mean, Charlie had brought up the whole thing that a lot of these games, especially something like Division 2 or Doom, are very much twitchy games. They are reflex games. And so if there's lag, if there's input lag, like discernible input lag, that's going to ruin the experience for those games. It may not, I mean, that's the thing, it doesn't matter for certain games, but for something that's really reflex heavy and really reliant on, really seeing feedback for inputs, there's just more and more about Stadia that's like, sounds cool, but in practice, not sure how well it's going to work. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, input lag is the thing when you're just running it on your computer. I can only imagine when you're trying to send it off to sending your information off to a distant server. But, yeah. So, but yeah, that's unfortunate news for, some negativity on the Stadia, but that's the thing. I think that's a really cool idea. I think there's a lot of cool things about it, but the way it works in practice, I think, is going to be a rough one. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite games, Assassin's Creed. So, mentioned last week that one of the things announced at the E3 is the quest creator for Odyssey, which I think is a cool idea. Yeah. I don't have it. I don't actually have Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet. I want it a lot, to be honest. But yeah, but apparently it's a really easy to use tool. But apparently people are just using it to create, here's how to level your character up really quickly levels.
Yeah, power boost quest, it looks like.
Yeah. They're just farming quests that's like, you can just play them to basically cheat. So it's just like, it just gives you loads of XP. It just kill loads of stuff and get loads of XP.
So I love this because one of the things they talk about is when it comes to this game, it was launched with $80 worth of microtransactions that included quote unquote time savers that gave you XP and money boost. So now that they added the in-store creator and people are just bypassing that, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of nerf at this point. But how long has this game been out now? Do you think they care at this point?
Yeah, and I mean, they aren't. I mean, that at this point, they aren't going to care that people are sort of cheating because they aren't actually exploiting the game engine per se. They aren't using a glitch. I'll say that they aren't cheating in the sense of using some sort of a weird glitch in the game to pull this off. Which, in that case, they probably would respond. But here, they're just creating really silly scenarios. Like in this one, there's a kill the Athenians. Which all that happens is you spawn right in front of a group of friendly Spartan soldiers who then kill a single Athenian before you can even move. It's just literally like instantaneous. You get XP.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not. I don't think I'd call this an exploit only because you gave them a quest creator where they can create mechanics for tools and quests. So yeah. Yep. If you thought people weren't going to do this. You don't know the gaming industry.
Yeah, you don't know the gaming community. We are garbage, and we will cheat in whatever way possible. We will optimize and do whatever. I mean, that's literally GDQ. GDQ is all super optimization of every single thing in a game, glitches or not. So, yeah, so that's a thing.
Yep, good times.
It's not to say that there aren't good quests. Apparently, they have been making some. People have put some time into making some pretty cool quests for it as well. But, of course, it's also the internet. So people are going to do stupid stuff. I imagine there's going to be some seriously ridiculous and silly ones as well. So
yeah. I mean, it does go, you have your good side and your bad side. Like, you have... Like, I'll give you an example. The new Super Mario Odyssey game that came out a couple years ago? There was some really cool balloon, like I guess they added the Luigi balloon thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And there were some really cool things that people were doing with that. They were like some impressive locations and spots to like land at. But then you had people who were putting porn icons on their balloons. So you have like this back and forth of like, sometimes people make some really cool shit. And sometimes you have people who are assholes. So... But it is an unfortunate drawback when you allow certain types of freedom in games like this. So, but yeah, it's kind of the two-sided coin of this industry, if you will. So, let's see. Speaking of people trolling and doing things, Twitch is now suing the trolls who did the whole porn on the artifact page thing. Do you know this saga of what's going on with this thing? Are you familiar with the...
I mean, we reported on it initially when it happened.
Yeah. So you're familiar with the kind of the whole thing where people just kind of like... they kind of... The artifact page was dead because, like...
Artifact is dead?
Yeah, Artifact is dead. And people just started broadcasting anime porn and anime porn. Oh boy.
Yep.
So... It looks like they finally, it looks like they're actually going to be tracking down all the people who did this and suing them, which is really interesting.
But it's like, yeah, that's against your terms of service. And granted, I have to say that Twitch is still about actually enforcing their terms of service, like, really unevenly. But, yeah, in this case, yeah, that's clearly breaching the terms of service. I mean, just rebroadcasting anything is basically against their terms of service unless it's something that Twitch is offering to be rebroadcast. Like, for example, during E3, you could rebroadcast E3 with your commentary on it. I mean, that was something that you were allowed to do. But outside of that, no, you aren't supposed to just, especially stuff that's like super questionable and sketchy. So, yeah. So, I mean, for the people who thought that was real funny, yeah, welcome to consequences. But the big thing
Yeah.
is they filed a legal complaint. Yeah, that's the thing. They aren't just going after them like saying, "All right, your terms of service are terminated." They're actually making a legal complaint. I'm not sure what all that's going to involve, but I think that they're looking to bring this to court, to actually bring people to court.
I'm a little surprised, but I'm also very intrigued to see where this goes.
They haven't done this before.
Yeah, that's why I'm so it's gonna be interesting to see where this goes because like this is actual like I like it because it's holding people who do dumb shit accountable for their actions, which I
Yes.
think I think if people understood things have consequences,
Yeah.
maybe you won't behave like such a fucking idiot. Like
Yep. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I think the enforcement is important and a good thing. Though, the article here, at least I'm looking at, does mention that there might be a bit of a chilling effect, to a certain extent, on the just chatting thing, which honestly I think it's kind of silly and too wide open for the just chatting thing. It's not very descriptive or very specific, but I think that yes, they should crack down. But I wonder which bent they're going to go at it. Like, all right, so, and when I say that, I mean, are they going to go at it as they were breaking the terms of service, or they were doing like illegal stuff? I mean, or what? I'm curious to see what legal complaint they are actually going to bring against it. I think, I don't know, like whether it's going to be utilize our service to do something really bad. I mean, I don't even know which legal angle they're going to go after this. I mean, of course, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't even really speculate. But I am curious as this moves on, like what they are going to actually sue them over. Like, what is Twitch going to sue these streamers over? Like, what are the actual terms of it? I mean, we know what they did, but we don't know what legal tack they're going to take when they're going after this. So, But what do you think?
well, I mean, like I said, I for one hope they do hold people accountable for their actions. But
Yes. I don't want any bad precedents to be set here.
that's the thing too. Like, it's a double-edged sword. Like, can now companies sue you? Like, well, I mean, you kind of have already had that happen when you have like I'll use a big example, bots in like World of Warcraft, for example.
Yes.
They sued the company who was making the bots.
Yep.
And I think they won, actually.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look that up, but I believe you're right.
Yeah, there was a pretty popular bot.
Mhm.
It was I can't remember what it's called, but they used to make like Diablo bots and all sorts of other ones. And I think they actually also got sued by Blizzard, and that became a whole thing.
Yeah.
You do hear stories of people suing people who do things like bots and hold private servers and things like that.
Yeah.
Players who do bad misconduct, though?
I mean, in this
This
case,
is a new precedent.
Yeah, this is a content thing. I mean, they aren't going for them. I mean, because they weren't playing games on the service. They were obviously just hosting content. So I wonder if they're going to go at it for using, for broadcasting, what is, somebody else's IP that you're not allowed, you don't have broadcast rights over. If that's going to be their tack, or if it's going to be misusing Twitch's tools, which
I would say it would have to be a combination of misusing tools, but also copyright. Like,
Yeah.
I'm guessing the big angle they're going to go with is copyright, if anything. But are
Yeah.
they allowed to sue someone for someone else's copyrighted material, though? Like, I don't know if that would work. I'm really intrigued to see where this is going to go, because yes, this is essentially just like a lawsuit for bad behavior. And
there's an interesting statement here that says, all right, so they breached their contracts and in misrepresenting their identities on the site committed fraud. Now that's I mean, there again, I don't think Kotaku really knows that much about it. But if that's true, if they're going after misrepresenting your identity on the site, as if you might remember, this was a big kerfluffle on Facebook on actually having to use your real name and a real identity or whatever versus fake identities. It's like, should that be allowed or should it not? But that's a weird direction. If that's the direction they're pointing in, that's a weird direction to go in, which I'm not sure I'm cool with. Like, what does it mean to misrepresent your identity? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, everybody has a lot of people have some sort of a slightly different persona they put on when they're streaming or when they're doing content. So what establishes misrepresenting your identity? And how, I don't like that part of it. If they go with that direction, I don't really like that because, all right, so I'm going to say this, and this is a side note. I am completely cool with anonymous or semi-anonymous identities on social media. The reason I say that is because there's some people in sensitive situations which, maybe minimally might get them in a lot of trouble for speaking out. For example, some sort of whistleblower. Or it could be just as simple as a LGBTQ teen who is in a very conservative area of the U.S., say, and just if people knew who they were, they might have very dire consequences. There's also the thing of activists in some countries. In some countries that are have a more tendency to crack down on and kill activists of many stripes. And so when they go on social media, if they get doxxed, they die. I'm not saying this about I'm not saying this about Twitch. Twitch isn't really being utilized for that, but that's not a good precedent to set because it could put a lot of people at great risk. To say that, you have to always be, use your full name and be you on social media. I don't like that idea. I think that's incredibly dangerous, and I hope that's not the direction they go with, and I hope that the court doesn't rule on that, because that's not good. Like I said, there's people that actually, and even people I'd say that have that play games that have their Steam user ID or their, other accounts like that, if it has to be your full name, and you get, that's the thing, people in some of these countries face more than just being maybe, ostracized in their community or put out on the streets. They may indeed face death. So, if I don't like that part of the case, if that's what they're going to go after, misrepresenting identities. So, that's kind of my side take on it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just concerned, now that you've said that, it is, I want to see where this is going to go. I don't know if it's, you should totally sue if you're doing something illegal with somebody's platform. I totally get that. That's fine. You can file your complaint and do all that. I just hope, it doesn't become a thing where you have people, you hear a lot of drama about moderators on Twitch who allow certain content to go through just fine because they bring in the ad revenue, and others who do the same thing, and they immediately get shit canned. So I'm wondering, will this be used in that similar way?
Yeah.
I mean, in this sense, I totally am okay with them going after the people who were doing that, putting that content on their site. You should totally go after them. Totally get it.
Yeah.
But will this be wielded in a tool similar to that, where you have Twitch moderators who have had very questionable approval processes and allowing certain people to get away with shit just because they bring in ad revenue? So,
yeah, we know about that.
Yep, we'll see. I'm definitely going to be intrigued on this one. So, we'll see where this goes moving forward. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to social media, you should have kind of certain levels of privacy and this and that. As far as streaming goes, so have you heard of it? I've talked about it before, but have you heard of a stream company called Plexstorm?
No, I haven't.
So Plexstorm is kind of a nice combination of a 18 and over site where you can stream games, but people also are like cam models in a way. Like
Oh, okay.
it's a
So it's
hybrid of both. So you can stream and just play games and do your thing there, or you can also stream and like, oh, if you hit X amount of tips, you can take off your top, like kind of thing. And
okay.
it's perfectly fine. Like it's an 18 oversight across the board completely.
Okay, that's interesting. I swear I've heard of that before, talked about it before, or something.
We've talked about it before here on the podcast because we were talking about opening up an account there and streaming because, hey, hit all the platforms. But yeah, what's interesting about theirs, and I actually went through this approval process, is you have to prove you're over 18 by submitting a copy of some legal identification. Obviously, you can block out like for me, I sent a copy of a California ID, but they're like, go ahead and block out whatever sensitive material you want. Like if you want to block out your address and your driver's license number, go ahead. It just needs to be the California ID and show your age on it and have a picture of you, kind of thing. So I did, and I got approval to stream on the site now. But yeah, that would be a really interesting process to go in a way. Like it's a little more extreme, but I think it's like when you want to secure like the safety in sense of like the people who are on the site and the legality on that, you need to because then there's a way to hold you accountable, because when you do that, you're also agreeing to follow the rules and not do this. So
yeah, but this is, I mean, that's there again. Like Plexstorm is very targeted in a sense, so it's because they're doing this, they have to do this other thing. They have to do the identity verification, at least age verification, not necessarily identity verification. So that's So that is a bit of a difference. But I didn't know that about that. But that's interesting. But yeah, I'm looking at the website. I was not aware of Plexstorm. Okay, so that's a thing.
Yeah. No, it is.
An unsurprising thing, I should say.
Yeah. But I mean, it works. You have people who are kind of like, you hear stories about some cam models who do video game stuff, and that's totally fine. Hey, you should definitely hit all the angles.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it'd be an interesting way to go, but I look forward to seeing where this whole case is going to go and how much the long arm of the law will reach in this sense. So,
yeah. So, just as a quick little side note, since we're talking about Twitch, so Twitch is acquiring Bebo. If you haven't heard of Bebo in a while, it's because Bebo has been through like 4 transformations as a company.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, I know it as an old social media, like, so a competitor to Facebook and MySpace. But, yeah, they've just been through all sorts of bought out by one, bought out by another, go broke, get bought out by another thing. Now they're kind of a live stream provider, like technology provider, and organizing esports tournaments for live streams. So, and they are tiny now. They're only like 20 people or 10-person staff. So,
oh, really?
They definitely aren't what they used to be. Yeah, back in the competing with Facebook and MySpace days, they were much bigger. But because they've been through so many... I don't know why they've stuck with the name. It's not exactly a very cool name. It's not like... I guess it's simple and short, but it's not particularly meaningful. I mean, just kind of weird. But yeah, apparently Twitch wants them because they organize live streams, or esports live streams. So we know that Twitch has already been very heavily invested in the esports community, but this is interesting that they want to basically own a company that will do it for them, at least the organizational part for the esports live streams. But that's that goes in the category. Yeah, like, and also the why. Don't you have 10 people at Twitch that could also do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's that. But that's the thing that happened. Bebo apparently, news to me still exists, just in a completely different form than it ever was before. It's not even, you can't even say it's a shadow of the former company. It's just a completely different beast.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think social media is their big angle that Twitch needs to tackle right now. People still post stuff about Twitch
Well, this isn't social media, as I was saying. Like, Bebo's no longer a social media company.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, you said they're a streaming platform.
They're a streaming platform and a esports tournament organizer. Which I'm like, don't you have people at Twitch that already do that? But I guess they want the streaming thing, because apparently it's, and this is something I'm also I did not know about. Apparently they have their own sort of thing that's similar to a XSplit or OBS. Their own streaming software. So that's probably what Twitch is actually buying. So
that changes things. Okay.
Yeah, because right now Twitch, like if you go to their streaming page, their streaming help page, it has how to use XSplit and how to use OBS. I guess they want their own client that's just for Twitch. And I'm sure, and this is what I'm expecting, that we'll end up with a streaming client just for Twitch with very specialized functionality, very specific to Twitch and tied in with Twitch's API. So that it's easier to do certain types of overlays or integration, app integration, like for Twitch's various apps that you can use. I'm going to just see that they're going to put out a new platform, or a new, not platform, but streaming software that will integrate Twitch's current functionality and their app functionality. So I think that's an interesting move. So we'll have to see what comes of that. I mean, I think it's going to be Twitch wants their own branded app for streaming to Twitch. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up also making a mobile app just for streaming to Twitch as well. But in any case, yeah, that's interesting. That part of that acquisition is the most interesting to me. I mean, the company, has a weird history. Look it up on Wikipedia. It's a bizarre history of, for me, it's like, why did you keep the name? It's not like anybody really remembers or cares about Bebo. But the acquisition of this type of software, though, that changes things. But yeah, so that's a thing.
Also interested to see where this development goes. I hope it doesn't fuck with the current applications that are out there for streaming, which would be really stupid for them to do that. But who knows? Maybe they'll do something like, if you want to have zero lag, real time streaming to the platform on Twitch, you'll use our software.
Yeah,
which uses a special encoding setup. So
see, that's another possibility, that they have some functionality that's not basically in any of the others. That's very specific to their own client. So,
yeah, it's not like, no, you can stream on your own software. It just, if you do it on this one, it does it a lot better.
Yep.
So, yeah, I if they go that angle, I would not be surprised.
It is kind of funny considering that OBS is free. So it's not like they're raking in the dough on this thing. I mean, they just get donations, like I donate to them, but they just get donations. They don't. It's not like they've got this huge money thing. So I think a part of it might be that they just want to make it even easier to broadcast on Twitch.
Yeah.
So they'll have an app where it's like you just type in your user information and click a button and you're online. And that's what I'm seeing, that very likely thing from an app that Twitch makes. They make it, because OBS and XSplit take a little bit of time to get the hang of, to be able to use effectively, I should say. So if they have a just out of the package, push a button working type of app, yeah, I see that also as a something they might want to do, and as an advantage in just increasing the amount of streams. But
yeah,
maybe we'll have a branded version for certain games, like we'll have a League of Legends Twitch stream launcher. But
I really hope they don't do something.
but yeah. But anyways,
Well,
so
moving on. What else we got here?
we could talk. There's we could do a little palate cleanser.
Yeah, let's do palate cleanser.
All right, so the best commercial for Final Fantasy XIV happened. It's for the new expansion, for the Shadowbringers expansion, and it's with Tom Holland and Hannibal Buress, who I love them both. To be honest, I love Tom Holland. He's so pure. he's such a little cupcake. And you got Hannibal Buress, who just spends the time being Hannibal Buress. Just hilarious. I like them both, and I think they're hilarious interacting with each other. Like, super hilarious. So, if you want to brighten your day, watch this commercial, because it's actually really funny. It's actually really good. I absolutely adore it. It's definitely, it's interesting, and it's definitely not as cringy as some other sort of attempts at bringing in a big star to do your stuff. Like, and it seems like this is sort of following the tack of, we're going to bring in some people that are generally kind of beloved to do a commercial. I still remember the Xbox Home. It was Xbox Home that they called it. Commercial they did with the guy from Breaking Bad, Aaron. I can't remember his last name, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
I did watch Breaking Bad. Yes.
Aaron Paul, who played the other main character, not Heisenberg. But yeah, he did his Google Home thing, which was also kind of funny and kind of cool. But also the most hilarious thing about it, that commercial, I just remember, it turned on people's. It started playing people's games and started playing shows on people's Xboxes, because he was giving orders like you would give it normally, but for Google Home. But anyway.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, but this commercial, yeah, it is very specifically about the Shadowbringers DLC, or not. I guess it's DLC technically, but
what? Oh, the Shadowbringers is a new expansion.
Expansion, I should say.
Yeah, it's a new expansion. It looks, it actually looks really fucking good.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because, like, normally you'd expect this kind of commercial from like Call of Duty. They always have these big celebrity cameo, these big celebrity cameo-esque commercials, but this time it's an MMO. The only other MMO I've known that has done big commercial grabs with like celebrities was World of Warcraft, when they did their like I play a so and so.
Oh yeah.
Class for a while. Like you had Mr. T played a Night Elf Mohawk, which was his own made up class, but it was supposed to be a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, there was that. They had William Shatner was a shaman.
Yep.
Ozzy Osbourne was a warlock.
Mm-hmm.
Vern Troyer was a no mage. My favorite, though, and it didn't release in the US, was Jean-Claude Van Damme was a troll mage.
Oh, I have not seen that, because...
Yes.
All right, so, side note, I have a real super fondness for Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, dude, me too. I grew up watching his movies. Like, that's the movies we had at home.
Yeah.
So,
and he has a lot of them, and they are all Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I'll say that.
Yeah. But, yeah, so, and it's great, because it was a French commercial, so it was only in French.
His native language, so.
Yes. Oh, and I forgot, Chuck Norris is a hunter, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think
that was another one.
Yeah.
So there've been a few when it comes to these. So, I think it's just funny, like, that you have another MMO now actually dabbling in this market, which probably means, and I know because these commercials came out for a while when they were in their peak, like, really good subscription numbers and just solid. So to see Final Fantasy 14 pull out a commercial like this just kind of further proves that they've been picking up a really good like foothold in the MMO industry. So
Yeah.
which I'm happy for them. They've definitely earned it, considering they had probably one of the biggest, roughest launches for a game ever, I think. And they actually did it right. Do you know the history a little bit of Final Fantasy 14 when it comes to that?
Yes. I remember when it first came out, people were a bit underwhelmed, but then they like did some pretty changes, not a pretty substantial changes in the year after, right?
So what happened was the game came out and it got such bad reception. They felt so bad about it. They shut the game down.
Oh, yeah.
Completely rebuilt it.
Yeah.
Like completely overhauled it. And anybody who bought the original game got the new one for free, obviously. And I think a couple like of months subscription time.
Yeah.
And they gave them all the, and it came back and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to it because they learned from their failures and they're like, okay, you know what? We fucked up. And they came back and it's been a solid game ever since. I actually played Final Fantasy 14 for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It is a solid game. If I wasn't so rooted into WoW, I would probably be playing Final Fantasy 14 more. And especially considering the new patches notes for WoW and kind of where things are going now, I feel a little bit better about where the game is. But I wouldn't shy away from going into Final Fantasy 14 full time if I had a group of friends to play with there. So
yeah,
it's
it
a
does.
solid game.
Yeah, I've only watched people play it. I've never played it myself, but I've watched people play it. The mechanics seem fun. The overall design looks cool. Mm-hmm. I the art style, the art direction. I think it's cool art direction.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It looks really nice. It makes me kind of think of watercolor paintings to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
The design of it in a good way. I like So, but yeah, that's but now it has a delightful commercial. They've done some interesting marketing stuff with it. I mean, they've been like a themed weddings that you can do in it.
Yeah. You know, you can buy a Final Fantasy 14 themed wedding in Japan, I believe.
Yep. So this is, I kind of like it. I mean, I can be pretty cynical about marketing when it comes to marketing, but sometimes it can be enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
When the piece of marketing comes out that's actually an enjoyable piece of media like this, I can dig that.
Yeah.
All right, but mentioning WoW, let's talk a little bit about Blizzard then. So there's some Blizzard news this week.
Let's do the negative, and then I'll briefly. It's not in our notes here, but I'll briefly talk about a dev spotlight that WoW did recently. So,
okay,
but yeah, go ahead. Let's do the So looks like more people are leaving Blizzard. Obviously, the past couple months, you had one of the original co-creators of Blizzard leave.
Yeah, just
Mike Morhaime,
who is known as just the person, like the real person that was associated with Blizzard, as far as publicly.
They called him the anti-CEO because his big thing was like push for the gamer's experience. Make it the gamer's experience. And I actually, I met Mike Morhaime a long time ago. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this story.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I met him at BlizzCon. So first of all, this man is the owner of BlizzCon, CEO at the time, I believe, and he could have been anywhere.
Okay.
He sat several rows back watching the stage from a seat with the public.
That's cool.
So he was sitting close to us, and I saw him, and I had asked him for a picture, and he's like, do you mind if we do it after? I'm like, yeah, no, not a problem at all. And so I was like, you know what, that's fair. Maybe he just doesn't want to do pictures. He just kind of wants to enjoy the show. And he watched the show the whole time from that seat in the back somewhere, just chilling, right?
That's cool.
And I thought he was just going to watch the show, and he was just being polite and was just going to go.
Yeah.
As soon as the show was done, he tapped my shoulder and he's like, hey, if you still want that picture, I'm down. I was like, yeah, sure.
That's super cool.
Yeah, he remembered, and he was like, hey, dude, if you want to still do the picture, I'm down. So, yeah, he took a picture with me, and so, like I said, it's just the fact that like he could have just gotten up and like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go and kind of disappear into obscurity, but he generally just wanted to sit down, enjoy the show, and then like, yeah, just went on ahead and it was like, hey, by the way, like, you want to do the picture now? That's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool, man.
Yeah, like totally unexpected, and that's when I knew he was a just fucking stand-up guy. Like super chill. Like he could have easily just been like, "No, I'm good," and no, he decided to be cool about it. And actually, I wonder if I still have it here somewhere. But yeah. Anyway, so people have been leaving for a while now, and so he's left. The guy who voiced Thrall, who's also one of the big creative directors, solid guy. He's left recently. Like, yeah. So.
Oh, the Overwatch co-creator and commissioner left recently.
That's right. Yeah, for Epic, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. And so now it looks like someone else is heading out, and that is the global esports director Kim Fan departs Blizzard. And this was different from someone else. This is the Overwatch commissioner is the one who left before. That's who it was. And yeah. So it looks like she's taken off. I don't know where she's going. Did they say where she's going yet?
I don't think that she's made any statements to that effect.
Okay. So.
But yeah, some more, kind of higher ups leaving, and which is always interesting. I mean, people actually in charge of things at at an executive level.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's interesting to see these esports people leaving. Do you think that's particularly meaningful?
Normally I'd be like, well, people come and go. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not surprised. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
There was an article that talked about the guy who is it? The guy who's running a big part of the esports and all that stuff used to work for who do he work for? He used to work for Fox Sports.
Okay.
So his big angle as of late has been wanting to really commercialize and make like that weird, like really push vendors and commercialization and advertisers into streaming.
Okay.
And run it from that angle. Run it like it's a sports event as opposed to like an esports gaming for the players type of event. So a lot of people have discussed and said they're not happy with that approach and that his word is law and he won't listen to anybody else's opinion on that matter. So that's kind of what I've been hearing, the rumblings when it comes to that. So it doesn't surprise me that more and more people are leaving, especially from the esports side of things. So,
yeah,
no, this is not new stuff, unfortunately. So, I don't know, man. It's a weird time for Blizzard because I think
to say the least,
more and more of Activision, I feel, is really seeping into it. Like,
yeah, that's what everybody's been feeling.
Yeah, and they can say it's not and this and that, but like, as soon as Bungie separated from Activision, a lot of really good changes have started happening. And actually, there's one in the news thing we didn't talk about that, but they're even revamping the Eververse store and a bunch of other stuff in Destiny too. Like,
really?
It's stuff that they're doing a big revamp on that. They actually just announced it not too long ago, and it was something else that they couldn't have done if Activision was still involved.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that like Activision is slowly seeping further and further into Blizzard in this sense. Very fitting considering this is what the old gods used to do in WoW, and they would slowly sleep in and corrupt. So very fitting. But I digress.
All right. So, let's see. You want a palate cleanser or another topic?
Well, let me talk about the Blizzard stuff that is.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Battle for Azeroth hasn't gotten a lot of really good reception since the whole announcement and everything else. Like it, I mean, the announcement was hype. There was big hype on that, but it just really feels like there was a lot of stuff that players were talking about in the beta for Battle for Azeroth that was just flat out ignored. A lot of classes just felt weird. The Azerite system is garbage. Period. Like it just feels off. So, they have a big patch coming out next week on Tuesday. It releases Nadjatar, and it also starts to lead into finally taking on Queen Najara, which has been one of the biggest bad guys that's been kind of popping in and out for the last few expansions. She's a big name in the franchise, if you will. Okay. So, she's the next raid boss in the next raid tier. But one of the things that released was the trailer for Nadjatar, which looks really good. It looks solid. But the other thing that's really interesting that caught my attention was shortly after that, they released a dev spotlight with Ion. I can't remember his last name, but he has a really long Greek-sounding last name. And he's gotten a lot of flack because he comes from a law background, so he'll answer a question, but it'll take him 5 minutes to basically tell you yes or no. So he came out in this dev spotlight, and he basically talks about, like, you know what, like, we've done a lot of class pruning, and that was a mistake. They basically are admitting there were a lot of mistakes they made on their design side, and are acknowledging it, and they're working on setting things right. But to flat out say, you know what, yeah, we went too far. This system wasn't well received. This isn't working. We kind of took away from this. And so with combination of like them flat out saying like, yeah, no, you know what? We fucked up in certain sides is big because this next patch addresses a few of those issues when it comes to like gear progression and things like that. So it looks, it's one of the first positive receptions I've seen to some Battle for Azeroth news as of late. Because when Battle for Azeroth stuff was releasing, like even like the survival guide, if you look at the YouTube ratios for like thumbs up and thumbs down, it was bad. Really bad. But this one is actually doing well. And this combined with the dev spotlight where they kind of go over this whole list of issues they talk about, it looks promising. I will say. It looks promising. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah. It's nice when companies are willing to admit their mistakes and then, like, I mean, that's one thing, but to actually move forward is a whole nother monster.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest, when it comes to redemption arcs for games, Final Fantasy XIV is probably the biggest one because they flat out shut down their game and rebuilt it from the ground up.
Yeah.
And then another one I would say, and I give them shit for it, but I have to say they've really turned it around, is No Man's Sky.
Yeah, yes. I will give them definite credit on that. Like, the game as it stands right now is pretty close to what was promised.
Yes. Agreed. And so I'd love to shit on No Man's Sky. It was great. But I will give them their credit when they've really listened and they've really pushed on getting the game right.
Yes.
They could have easily pulled an EA with Anthem and be like, yeah, sure, well, we're listening. By the way, don't talk about the problems that we're talking about. Look at this cool level. Like, they could have easily gone that angle.
Yeah, they could have pulled a Fallout 76.
Yeah, oh no, the game was, we were expecting a little flack, and the game's doing really good. Despite the fact that it's a giant fucking paid microtransaction bullshit, but hey guys, Battle Royale and NPCs.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, like sorry, go ahead.
Oh. I was gonna say I love redemption arcs. I feel like for as much shit as I give a company, I'm willing to totally give them praise when they do something right. And like No Man's Sky and Final Fantasy XIV deserve the praise for having turned around their game.
Yeah.
I really want to add Battle for Azeroth or just WoW in this redemption arc, but it's too soon for me to say. I really do. And I will say partially because it's the bias I have towards World of Warcraft, because I really enjoy that game. I've played it for over a decade now, so like I have a special attachment to it, but I also don't want to let that blind me from some really bad design choices and mechanics that are active in the game. So I'm hoping for a good redemption arc. This looks like the start of a good redemption arc, but we'll see how it comes, like how it turns out. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly there. And I think we can transition into, speaking of companies that say, yeah, no, we'll do things, but it doesn't, shit doesn't look like it. EA. I'm gonna do Anthem EA real quick.
Sure. Yeah. So we've been talking about Anthem we've kind of alluded to Anthem here a little bit. So let's dive into that one then.
Yeah. So looks like EA and the CEO Andrew Lootbox Wilson. Actually, I haven't sent you that video, but I'll have to send it to you. It's a guy who talks about the Andrew Wilson loot box and how he made that whole thing huge. But yeah, he talked about, he did an interview recently with Game Daily Biz where he talked about how Anthem was a disappointment, but the game is compelling enough to its core where BioWare and EA are going to stick with it. Which I would hope so, considering the game's not even a fucking year old.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be kind of weird if they just dumped it right now. It wouldn't be unheard of, I'll say that, but
I would say for a company like EA, that would be absolutely unheard of. Like, considering it's only, I mean, when did this game come out? Like, was it March?
I don't even remember, because I never played it.
Yeah, it's not long ago. But, like, it's already in this part, like, yeah, no, we're going to stick with it. We're not going to, you should be having this conversation.
Not already.
Not already. Like a year or two from now, yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But fucking A, it's not even 6 months old, and you're already talking about, like, yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and stick with it, guys. Yeah. Yeah, this whole... I don't know, man. I honestly think this game's not gonna recover. At least not for a long time.
I have to say, one of the things he said was very telling, though it's not like, not surprising. So apparently he compared the studio to Steven Spielberg. Not everything's a hit, but we make money. It's like, is that really... it's good that you're being honest about that and all, but... Wow, you're kind of giving away the whole game. I mean, that's... Not that we didn't know that that's literally EA's MO forever. That's been their MMO for a very long time is... we know that from the, re-release of the same Madden game every single year. They care way more about profits than actually doing something good.
Henry. The grass physics, though, this year, though. So good!
But, yeah, we know what EA's about, but it's kind of funny that he pretty much, said that straight up, we make money, so who cares?
Yeah, no, Andrew Wilson's a fucking scumbag, but anyway.
Yep.
Let's do we have any more palate cleansers?
Sure.
Just before we go more into the gritty here.
Yep.
Go ahead. That's a good one.
Alright, so we have some Smash news.
Another character release?
No.
Esports drama?
Esports drama. Well, I guess it's not really drama. It's not like there's a problem here or any sort of a problem that happened, but we saw something pretty unique. If you're familiar at all with the newest Smash Brothers Ultimate, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, and familiar with the character tiers and kind of who's seen as high tier and low tier. So right now, Solid Snake is top tier. Like he's been top tier for a while, and he's definitely still top tier now. a lot of the top players in the world use Snake. He's a very solid all-around character, has good range, has a good mix-up of abilities. He has, and his kind of toys that, I mean, like his mines and grenades and stuff. So he's an interesting character, and he's also fairly heavy, like as a character too, considering. So Ally is one of the top players in the world. He was at a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tournament, and he went up against a person utilizing my favorite character, my absolute favorite character in it, Isabelle. And for those not in the know, Isabelle, while she is the best cutie she is definitely the best cutie in the game, and she is adorable and amazing, and I'm so happy she's in the game. She is not top tier. She is really not top tier as far as in most matchups. She doesn't do well. In general, she has some problems with range, at least with range for her actual melee attacks. But yeah, so normally Snake and Isabelle would be considered most people would consider that a big mismatch. That this Ally, who's a top player playing a top tier character, would just roll through the tournament. Not so this time. Bocchi, a very young player, very new player, but already an experienced player, managed to beat him 2 out of 3 rounds with some great comeback play. If you watch the video, some fantastic comeback play and some really clever usage of just multiple things. But yeah, managed to beat him. Bocchi beat. But the thing is, this particular matchup, it works a little bit better than people think. So Isabelle has the ability to pocket stuff, to pocket projectiles and anything that the other player throws out. A lot of things can be pocketed, and she can toss it right back. Well, there's a lot of Snake's range control, as far as I kind of know, is done with his mines and his grenades. Because he can just throw them down or toss them down, like throw them below him or beside him or whatever, control the range, really control where the player's going. Well, she can just pocket that. So he can't control the range on Isabelle as effectively as he can with other characters. Because she can also let loose these things that she's pocketed at any time. And so there's a little element of surprise too. So that's the thing, like one of his, taking away a major tool. And Bocchi utilized that to great effect. I mean, there's a lot in the match that's just really cool that's going on. But yeah, Isabelle, she's now secretly top tier, I guess.
I don't know if you can call her top tier, but she's definitely a hard counter for a lot of projectile spacing characters. Especially, I mean, if what you're describing about Solid Snake's setup, which makes sense, a lot of grenades and mines, she's definitely a good hard counter.
Yeah.
It reminds me, do you keep up with Street Fighter at all?
Not really.
Okay, so at EVO a couple years ago, there was a character, who was it? PR Balrog is a player who used to play Balrog exclusively back in Street Fighter 4.
Okay.
And there was a guy named Infiltration, a Korean player who he played a different variety of characters, but Balrog was kind of the bane of his existence. He wasn't doing too well. And he ended up picking a character who was low tier as well, which was Hakan. I don't know if did you ever play Street Fighter 4?
I'm familiar with it. I just haven't played it that much.
Okay, so Hakan was a character who was new to the franchise, and normally he's not really that great. He's kind of slow, the grappler, very dependent on a mechanic where he oils himself up. He's a Turkish wrestler, I believe.
Yeah.
Is his character arc.
Yeah.
Or character story.
Yeah.
But he turned out, I mean, even though he wasn't exactly high tier or anything, he turned out to be a super hard counter for Balrog in that game. And he was able to turn it around and actually beat him and sent him to losers, I believe.
Wow.
That year. So it was interesting to see, like, it reminds me of that, like, when you pick a character who's not exactly top tier, but the way the character is designed is that they have good hard counter mechanics. So Isabel just sounds like the bane of Solid Snake players' existence, but there's only so much though. Like, I'm not trying to take away anything from this Isabel player, because you can have a character who's a hard counter, but if you don't know how to play the character, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
So this person, Bocce is absolutely skilled, especially for being 15. Like,
yeah,
she's absolutely solid.
Yeah.
And so I like
crazy good play. That, like, just watching that match, it's crazy good play. I mean,
I love hearing stories like this. Like, where you have people who are young, who are like coming out the work, pulling out some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
There was what was it? It's like, it kind of reminds me in a way of Sonic Fox. Sonic Fox is a little bit older now.
Yeah.
But like when he popped into the scene in Mortal Kombat,
yeah,
he was fucking people up, and he was a youngster. He just turned, I think, 18 or 19 not too long ago. But he's been involved in fighting games for a little while now, and he's probably one of the best players currently involved in fighting games, because he's also able to jump between different games. He had a solid setup for Marvel's Capcom Infinite. He did play a little Street Fighter V, but not as much. He is godlike in Dragon Ball FighterZ and Mortal Kombat. Sorry, let me take that. Not just Mortal Kombat, NRS games, NetherRealm Studios games. So Injustice, Mortal Kombat, those games. So he's one of those guys who's just stupid good. There's actually, have you heard of? Do you follow a lot of FGC or fighting game stuff in general?
Not really. I mean, I see it occasionally when it pops into game news, but I don't really follow it.
Okay. When you have a chance, you should check out the story of Sonic Fox versus a guy called Perfect Legend.
Okay.
It's a really great story, because Perfect Legend was an old school player, talked a lot of shit about Sonic Fox, and they had a 1st to 10, and Sonic Fox swept him 10-0.
What? That's amazing. That's so awesome.
It gets better, though.
Oh, karmic justice.
Oh, it gets even better. They give him the mic, and he talks about how, I never said Sonic Fox was a bad player. I said his fundamentals are bad. And I also said, in the matchup, I said I would destroy him playing this character, but as you can see on the screen, that wasn't the character he used, and people were like, started talking shit. And so they did an extra 3 matches, and he swept him in those 3 as well. So he went...
I love that.
He went 13-0 in a 1st to 10.
Get wrecked, son. Pack your bags, you're done.
Destroyed. And it was hilarious because, like, they changed his name to, instead of saying Perfect Legend, it said Perfect 1-3 End. And so they replaced the L and the 3 with the 13 to signify. It was. If you ever want karmic justice, that's one of the best ones out there. But anyway, youngster coming into the scene destroys, solid players who people thought were favored to win.
Yeah.
Same scenario.
Yep.
Like with this Isabel player, and I give her kudos, and I really hope to follow her career. I really hope to see her show up at Smash and like destroy people at Evo. Like, I would hope to see her at Evo at some point, because we need a nice flurry and kind of variety of players, because you hear the same names every year for Smash players. Like, I'm tired about hearing about Hungrybox. I'm tired about hearing about, all these other guys who show up every year and compete. I'm not taking away from them being good players. That's not what I'm about. I will say, though, it's nice to see people throw a wrench in the engine of the standard players, so to speak. So,
yeah, and I mean it does it goes to one of my own criticisms why I don't tend to play Smash games. All right, so I've always been ambivalent about the game mechanics, whatever, but it's the fact that they don't balance it worth a crap. Like, there's no character balance. Their tiers are so far apart. I mean, there's, like, between upper tier and lower tier, there's such a wide gap. I mean, that's why something like this is a little bit surprising that, a lower tier character would have a good, I guess not completely surprising, but a little bit surprising. But it's surprising for me for Smash, because Smash is so poorly balanced. It's just, it makes, and to me that takes some of the fun out of it. I want to be able to play whoever I want. I want to play the people I want to play. Like, I want to play Isabelle or, Samus or, any other characters who aren't necessarily, well, Samus is higher tier, but, I want to play whoever I want to that plays in the style I like to play in. I like their moveset, but if they're so underpowered versus other players, it makes it not so fun. If you just get wrecked every time you go and try to play, so... But this was there again. I think this was very cool seeing somebody utilize a matchup that only makes sense if you think about it, but generally seems like it wouldn't be one that would work out. But I hope that Bocchi continues. I hope she continues like kicking some butt, and I don't even know what her main is. I imagine that Isabelle is not her main, but yeah, I don't. But yeah, I think that's it's cool. But yeah, I love Isabelle as a character. I just think she's the best.
Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
So we shall see.
Yep. All right, so. I want to get this in before what I kind of see as our main topic. I want to just talk about this a little bit. So, I have been talking a lot about unions for game devs. Yeah, that's something I bring up almost every single podcast, and we're going to talk about it a little bit again. So, Bernie Sanders has gone on social media. On Twitter and on Facebook in support of creating unionization in the game industry.
Good.
He's the first candidate I've ever seen talk about that. Nobody else has talked about it. And that's the thing. It's like, all right, so I'm not going to make this political talk. I'm not going to go too much. I don't want to go too much in that, but I'll say this. It's rare that we get positive things about the video games or video game industry at all from any politician. But especially like people, one thing about, people mention about Sanders, oh, he's old. He's way more clued in than people literally a third of his age. I mean, there's young senators and representatives who could be talking about this, and yet it's the much older dude that's talking about this. It doesn't come as a surprise to me because he, as a candidate or as a politician, has been in support of unions forever. Like, he's always been a big union guy. He's always been a big fan. And so that part of it doesn't surprise me at all that, oh, Bernie Sanders is in favor of unions? Yeah, he's always been in favor of unions. But in this case, it's, they're a little bit surprising because he is this much older politician. I have to say that his finger and at least his team, they're on the pulse of what's going on. I mean, and I wish it would have been talked about way earlier, but there is one presidential candidate only that's talking about video games unionization, and that's Bernie Sanders. And yeah, like I said, that's impressive, but it's completely in line for him to do that because to A, be in support of unions, and B, have his finger on the pulse of what's going on in the world. That's the thing, it's like, he leads, he doesn't, and that's the one thing, like, a lot of stuff, he's the first to make the statements on this stuff. He's not following up on it. He's being consistent and leading, but that's super cool. I like to hear when legislators are actually getting involved in making things better, like for the gaming industry in this case. Like we've talked about in previous ones about various legal issues, and sometimes I'm very much in support of the government getting involved. And in this case, or at least politicians talking about it. And I love that he's made a very public show of this. I mean, so his tweet, if you go to it, I mean, basically says the video game industry made $43 billion in revenue. That's just revenue. And yeah, more people should be a part of that profit. I mean, I believe that about all industries, but yeah, definitely with the the industry that I've been a part of and then still a part of, that I'm glad that, yeah, we're seeing some good movement here, and kudos. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's awesome. And, in the purpose of full disclosure, yes, I am a Bernie Sanders supporter. And so, but I just brought up the news because it is very newsworthy. But yeah, I am a Bernie Sanders supporter, but this is a cool thing that everybody should be able to get behind. I don't care what your political affiliation is. You should be for workers having better rights and being treated more fairly, especially with the fact that we know that devs are forced to put in so many unpaid overtime hours. I mean, a 80-hour week, 90-hour week is not unheard of. And that's crazy. That's a crazy amount of hours. It's like not sleeping amount of hours. But yeah, I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy that we've got not like a very well-known politician saying this. Not a maybe a lesser known person he's a internationally known figure in politics now. And so for him to make these statements, fantastic. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, and then earlier this year, didn't we do a story about another legislator who actually presented a bill or something to look into when it comes to loot boxes and that whole thing? Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's nice, like, regardless, because I think that wasn't Bernie Sanders who did that. He was I forgot where he was, a Republican from somewhere else.
I think wasn't it just Justin Amash?
I think so. I don't know, but we'll find out. But whatever political aisle you side on, I think we can agree there are certain things that should be bipartisan.
Yeah.
And like, I like that this is reaching more and more, and I think we're reaching a point now where gaming is starting to slowly seep into where people want to talk about it and actually make sure there are certain laws passed to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm for it. We've talked about unionization for games before. I 100% support that, and I'm totally glad Bernie Sanders brought it up and is bringing up a big thing, considering he has a lot of kind of news reach, and like, to have someone like him bring it up is solid, and I 100% support that.
Yeah. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
And I guess we can kind of, all right. So first, I think I'll talk about something, since we're already talking about loot boxes. So this is just a quick one to move us into our main topic. But Gears of War 5 will not have paid loot boxes, and I have to say, smart move. Get ahead of the game. Certain countries are putting all sorts of restrictions, and the USA is also looking into doing so. So a lot of countries with some large user bases, like China, have already made it pretty much, a national law that against certain types of loot boxes. So now, so Gears of War 5, they're just like, yeah, let's not do that. And this was actually announced on a developer blog that no season pass, no gear packs, DLC maps are free for matchmaking and private play. There's a new Tour of Duty system to earn loot, and all store purchases are direct with no RNG. So that means no loot boxes. No, which I don't necessarily have a problem with all loot boxes. For example, I have a lot of fun opening the loot boxes for Overwatch because you can just get tons for free. You can just constantly get more loot boxes all the time, completely for free, and they're all 100% cosmetics. Mm-hmm. So I'm not against the idea of loot boxes, but money loot boxes, smart. Even on a corporate and any level, smart. Gears 5 just like, let's not do the loot box thing. I mean, they can do still real money transactions in the game, so I mean, they aren't getting rid of that. They aren't dumb to completely do away with a source of revenue. But, avoid trouble. Might as well. Just don't even wade into it. Stay out of it. Sounds like a smart move.
Yeah, and I'm down with, like, if you do direct purchases, that's totally fine with that. Like, if you have stuff that, like, hey, it's direct purchase, that's fine. But at the same time, I don't want it to be something where it's like, it's a pay-to-win scenario.
Yeah.
I'm down with direct purchases if it's pure aesthetic. I'm totally fine with that. Like, some places do it right. Some games don't do it. Like, okay, so an example of somebody who does it somewhat right is actually Epic.
Okay.
When it comes to Fortnite. Because you can buy the skin you want directly with coins. You don't have to do the llama, which they do also have loot boxes, which is kind of weird, but they also have a lot of stuff you can unlock through doing the season pass, which is a good thing to do. You should give people a way to work through the game and play it to unlock things. Like, season pass, I got no grief with.
Yeah.
It's fine. When you go the Call of Duty model where you have items you buy that are pay to win, and loot boxes and season passes and all this pay to win bullshit in the game you paid full retail price for is garbage.
Yep.
So, kudos to Gears of War 5 if this is the approach they're going with, like all store purchases direct. Okay, cool. That's fine as long as the store purchases aren't pay to win.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I don't want to pay full retail price on a game and then have to pay for the pay to win shit.
I don't imagine they would with Gears of War being as a series. It's never really been about that. So it's always been more about the game mechanics rather than what gun you're using.
Well, I mean, they said the same thing about Shadows of Mordor or whatever it was for Lord of the Rings. And look at the second one. They tried to add all those loot boxes into a single player experience, and it was so bad they ended up patching the fucking store out of the game.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah, some people I would not be surprised they do shit like that, but I'm hoping Microsoft does something right here. So, we'll see. But good for them. If this is what it looks like right now, good for them.
But of course, certain companies have a different view of loot boxes. Slightly different view on loot boxes.
Henry. They're not loot boxes, okay? They're surprise mechanics. And they're super ethical, okay? So if you don't get the joke we're going with here, recently there was a UK Parliament Digital Culture, Media and Sports Committee that met, and they had a representative from EA and a representative from Epic appear before that panel to discuss, mechanics in their games and things like that. And they talked about there's some evidence that could show a close link between loot boxes and gambling, especially when it comes to adolescents. So, like, this is, teenagers, kids who are on the machine, on their computers playing the Fortnite, and they just drop cash to buy stuff in the game. Like, and it's a real thing. Like, this is a real addiction. Like, not necessarily the idea of loot boxes, but gambling is a real addiction. Doesn't matter the medium.
Straight up, yes.
It is a flat out addiction. That's why you don't have kids who gamble under the age of 18. This is why a couple years ago, when you had the CSGO Lotto fiasco come down, because it was essentially gambling for kids.
Yeah. But I think even more telling is, I hate executive speak. Surprise mechanics. They actually called it surprise. Oh, it's not a loot box, it's surprise mechanics. Go fuck yourself. It's loot boxes. You just don't like that name because it's been associated with something bad. So of course, as a executive scum, you're going to be like, we'll change the words. We'll use different words with a different connotation.
Yeah.
No. No.
Henry, it's not rape. It's surprise fornication.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, changing the semantics of it doesn't change what it is, but that's literally what they're trying to do. It's such a typical PR move. Just hearing that alone, their attempt to rebrand loot boxes, really is sickening. But I'm glad that people are seeing right through that. They're like, no. Yeah, we're not idiots here.
Yeah. So and it was sad part is it wasn't just the EA rep. They also interviewed this person from Epic Games, and they kind of were saying it's, similar.
Yep.
Like, they kind of were speaking similar things. And they talked about how, like, was it Fortnite doesn't have loot boxes, when this is in fact not true. They have the llamas you can buy, which drops items you can get.
Yep.
So they're lying about that. Let's see what else. And they were comparing it, like, the comparison they made for this was, well, it's kind of like a Kinder Egg. You open the chocolate and there's a surprise in there. Yeah, the thing is, though, people aren't lining up like crazy for Kinder Eggs like they are for things like Fortnite.
Nobody's reselling things inside of Kinder Eggs because of the worth of what's inside of the Kinder Egg. Like,
exactly.
The Kinder Egg, or the toy part of the Kinder Egg, is completely incidental to the chocolate that is the rest of it. The very, very nice chocolate, by the way, that is the rest of the Kinder Egg. And no, it's incidental. It's a fun thing added in. It's not something that people are buying 20 Kinder Eggs so that they can get the little toy that they want. No, it's just kind of a little fun thing. Oh, cool. There's a little bitty model airplane in here that I can put together, or other little things, or a little animal. It's not something people are collecting, not really. And I don't know, there might be somebody out there who's buying up cases of Kinder Eggs to get that one toy, but that's not what people are doing. People are not compulsively buying Kinder Eggs so that they get the one little toy that they were trying to get. That's a ridiculous comparison.
So I want to throw a little funny wrench in the situation. EA, a company that wants to make a lot of their money selling loot boxes in the United States, compared it to Kinder Eggs. Kinder Eggs with the prize inside are banned in the United States because it's considered it prohibits confectionery products which contain a non-nutritive environment or object inside of it.
Yeah.
So essentially, the comparison of loot boxes there would be a bad example for the United States, because in the U.S., Kinder Surprise Eggs are banned.
Yeah, it works.
Buy them or
yeah, it works when talking about the in England and the EU in general, where you can get them. But yeah, that falls flat on the U.S. because we have Kinder stuff here. We have Kinder somethings, but those aren't Kinder Eggs.
Well, we have Kinder Joys, which is it's the chocolate without the toy inside.
Yeah.
So the surprise eggs, which are the ones they're comparing them to, are banned in the U.S. So let's run with that example. You know what? I think it's a great example. Let's go ahead and ban loot boxes in the United States if we're going to use the Kinder Surprise Egg as an example for that.
Yeah.
Let's run with that one. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well done. Nice self-own.
Yeah. So, no, this was just so stupid. And here's the other thing, that I just want to point out in here. When you, even if we use the Kinder Surprise Egg, for an example.
Yeah.
The item that you get from the egg, you physically own.
Yep.
These are digital items, which once the game closes,
goodbye.
You don't own them anymore.
Yep.
They're gone.
Yeah.
So you don't actually own them. You're leasing them, or not lease, but in a way, you lease them.
Yes.
For the life of the game.
Straight up. You're absolutely correct.
So, again, horrible fucking example.
Yeah. It's not, they're trying to use this equivocation, this total bullshit equivocation to make what they're doing seem innocuous. That's why their examples were Kinder Eggs and Hatchimals, because they want to make it more innocuous than it is. But we're not idiots. That's the thing, it's gambling. And to act like you didn't make it specifically for the purpose of taking advantage of people's of psychology you're gonna sit here and play innocent on purposely playing on gambling psychology. You're either a liar. No, you're just a liar. You're just straight up lying. You're just trying to just try to say anything possible to make what you're doing sound palatable and act like, oh, it's totally innocent. This gambling part of it was totally unexpected. Yes, you designed it for this. I know this because I teach about this. Like, this is a part of a class, like, whenever I teach mobile and social game design, I literally talk about monetization. And and in game design in general, I talk about how to utilize the way psychology works. I even bring in, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and stuff like that, on how to utilize certain elements of psychology and sociology to create game mechanics. And for them to act like it's totally some sort of a side effect. No, this was the point. This is the point. You created it to sell. You created it to sell via the gambling, via the psychology of gambling. And to act like it isn't, there again, these totally, completely off-the-wall comparisons, which aren't even remotely close. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like a Kinder Egg. It's incidental. But even if I'm talking about other things, so I buy blind boxes on occasion, like for different little products. Like I have a blind box that I picked up for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for like keychains. Well, I know no matter what, I'm getting a JoJo keychain that I get to keep. And you know what? And I think and I believe that maybe those types of physical loot boxes might need to be restricted as well. I'm kind of ambivalent about that as well, even for the real world ones, like and it's more common with the sort of tiny toy blind boxes, but they're pretty cheap. Few of those things are expensive at all. It's like you're not going to spend more than $20 on the type of blind box stuff I'm talking about, or even buying the loot crate stuff. That you can order online. That's still a certain amount of stuff is guaranteed of it. Like certain things.
But see, the thing I want to like.
But even with that,
if they're questionable, you physically own the item.
Yeah, but even with that, I think you have to be over 18 to buy the loot crates.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think you could buy them for other people, but I think you have to be over 18 to buy a loot crate, like the loot crates that we're talking about, even like the physical ones.
And the thing is, there's a certain dollar monetary value promised.
Yes.
From each box.
Yes, that's absolutely. For the good ones, for ones that aren't these, we've talked about sketchy freaking websites selling the most ridiculous ones where you pay $100 and you might get $100 and you might get like $1,000 thing, but you're most likely going to get a $10 thing. Yeah. No, we're not talking about those. We're talking about the loot crates where this costs $20 and the worth in there is $40. It is minimally worth at least $40 of goods in this crate. But that's not what they're doing in these digital loot boxes at all.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. For a while, I was subscribed to the Marvel crate that was coming out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And minimum, they did it every 2 months. And minimum, I got at least a t-shirt and a pop figure out of it. There was a bunch of other stuff in it, but minimum, I got a pop figure and a t-shirt.
And those two alone, that's a good $40-$50 just by itself.
Yeah.
Easily $40-$50 by itself. So Loot Crate at that point is already well paid for itself.
Absolutely. So, and again, if tomorrow the Marvel company that sent those out closed down, I still own my t-shirt and my pop figure. They don't fucking disappear from my dresser and my fucking shelf.
Wouldn't that be amazing, though, and awful?
That would be that. If that's what technology has evolved to do, we are wasting our technology doing shit like that. But we should be doing other things. But like, that's the difference. Like, tomorrow, if Pop as a company went out of fucking business, bankrupt, they're gone. All my Pop figures stay on the shelf. They retain their value.
Yeah.
In games like these with these loot boxes, when that game shuts down or that game stops running, all of that is gone.
Yeah.
So it's fucking dumb. But yeah, for EA and Epic to say some scummy shit like this is really
unsurprising.
Yeah, I know they're focusing a lot on the EA side of things, but like they've also talked to Epic about some of these loot box things, and like, yeah, no, we think they're ethical. They're fine. They're just, and I think there was a slip. I remember reading somewhere there was a slip of the tongue where they said, yeah, I mean they're executed unethically, but they're ethical, and I think that was a slip of the tongue or something like that.
Yeah,
kind of like a little Freudian slip, if you will. So, but that was actually during the whole thing.
Yeah, and these are carefully calculated games of chance. It's not just like we created this kind of random fun thing. These are carefully planned, carefully calculated what your percent chance is of getting every single item. And it is calculated as such to take advantage of human psychology. It just is. And for them to act like it's this innocuous thing that's just incidental, that's also lies. Just lies.
So, yeah, no, they're full of shit. If you have a chance, did you watch any of that actual, that whole meetup with Parliament about that?
No, I didn't watch. I watched little bits of it.
Okay. So there's a really interesting tidbit in there, and that somebody caught it. I was listening to another YouTuber talk about it.
Okay.
But they talked about how, just out of curiosity, did you hire someone to coach you on how to speak at these Parliament sessions and what to say? And they admitted later on, yeah, we did. And they're like, yeah, we know, it shows.
But that makes sense. I mean, but that's not totally unexpected. Of course, they had their prepared remarks. They came in to talk about freaking surprise mechanics.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this whole but the thing is, I have to say, like, I've been impressed with UK's different committees. All right, so this is something that I got kind of first-hand knowledge of. So when I was going to school at the University of Sussex in England, based in Brighton, England, if anybody's familiar, south of London. So there's a chemistry department, and while I was there, they were thinking of shutting it down, of completely closing the department because there weren't that many students. At the time, there weren't that many students in the department. Mm-hmm. This is also a department that has produced Nobel Prize winners and is actually kind of renowned. I mean, the whole business over education thing. But what happened was the vice chancellor of the university ended up having to sit and be questioned for hours and basically berated for hours by the Parliament's committee. I think it was their Science and Technology Committee. And basically he just got, like, it wasn't even a questioning session. It was just them all basically wagging their finger at him and being like, that is the dumbest idea we've ever heard. We can't believe you're even considering that. That's not the way universities run. That's not why that they're, at least partially publicly funded, so that you can just close a very good degree program simply because it's not profitable enough. That's not the way education should work. But in any case, yeah, it was them hilariously berating the vice chancellor for like a couple of hours. And it just, but yeah, in this case, same thing apparently happened. Like the UK Parliament's committee just kind of they kind of saw through the crap, which I can appreciate because, oh my, yeah, they were just blurting out marketing selling points. And come on, we are grown-ass adults here. Don't kid me on this stuff. We're not naive. We're not dumb. I'm not a 5-year-old child here that you're explaining this to. I'm not naive. And so, just, I would have a little bit more respect for them if they were if they could be just honest about it and be like, yeah, we've designed these loot boxes and it is a form of gambling. And you know what? Maybe we should consider working with the government to create meaningful restrictions instead of just waving our hands and acting like it's not a big deal or it's not a thing at all, or we're trying to completely change the conversation on it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
They also tried to put it into, and this is just something that they're, again, PR selling. They basically mention, just in this, what's quoted here in the article, that people like these things. People love these things. People like these things. They're trying to change the conversation. That's not the point. Lots of people enjoy gambling. Lots of people enjoy things that are absolutely terrible for them. I love chocolate and cheese, and neither of those things are really that healthy for me. Not really. I have a sweet tooth, and man, I love cheese. Cheese is the thing that prevents me from being vegan. So, yeah, just because people like a thing doesn't excuse it, and that's literally what they're trying to say here. People like Kinder Eggs, people like surprises. It's enjoyable to people. Get the fuck out of here. That's not even the conversation. They're trying to change the conversation by acting like it's not gambling. And also, like I said, by posing it like, well, people like this thing, so it should be allowed. People like a lot of things that are dangerous and shouldn't be allowed. That's not an argument. That's literally not an even reasonably meaningful argument for this. So no part of what they said, no part of what EA said, is even remotely a good argument. It was just a long marketing spiel full of corporate BS. That's all it was.
No, that was bullshit 101, for sure.
Yeah. But it's just I would have more respect for them if they would be like, you know what, we're gonna work with legislators, and we're gonna dive into this thing and make sure that that we don't end up with overly draconian laws. It's like I said, I don't mind some loot boxes, and maybe if we just have laws about who can even buy them, maybe only over 18, minimally. That's one of the reasons, by the way, they mentioned Kinder Eggs and Hatchimals. Notice those two things that they mentioned are for kids. So they're also in that same bit of bullshit. They're also trying to wave away the idea that kids shouldn't be doing this. So see, they're trying to backdoor that thing in there by saying, oh, it's like Kinder Eggs, which implies that it's for kids. Mm. And so that's also really made me angry. It's like, you're trying to backdoor this idea in that loot boxes are fine for kids by comparing them to Kinder Eggs. That is not a fair comparison at all. And I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it more palatable that, kids do this Kinder Eggs thing, so of course what we're doing is fine. It's all for kids. It's just like Kinder Eggs. It's all for kids. That's what they're trying to backdoor here, and I see right through that. I see right through every single word they said. They're trying to make bad comparisons, bad faith comparisons, as well as trying to pigeonhole in the argument that it's perfectly fine for kids and it's normal for kids. No on all accounts. You're completely wrong, and yeah, go take a long walk off a short pier, because this is total BS. And like I said, I'm not against loot boxes, but something's got to be done, because they are taking advantage of it. And I think they gave away the game a little bit by attempting to backdoor in this argument about, it's perfectly fine for kids. They've revealed that they are targeting kids.
Yep.
They just they gave away the game. They gave away the game.
I didn't even think about that. Huh.
So they just openly admitted, as a part of their weird bullshit argument, it's perfectly safe for kids. No, it's just no.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I'm instead of creating a corporate spiel for this, they should just work with the legislators to make some good sense stuff, because these lawmakers, they don't necessarily know that much about video games, as we all know. As I mentioned when we were talking about Bernie Sanders, it's not that common, especially among some of these older lawmakers, for them to ever have been a gamer. even when they're young. Even when they're young, and so they need people working with them to create this. They need the input from the industry, not excuses. How about assistance? How about working with them so that we don't end up with laws that literally ban all forms of loot boxes forever? Which I've mentioned multiple times now that I've never said that. My main problem has been the kids thing, selling it really to kids, to young kids. And so, yeah, I see right through it. I'm so used to corporate speak at this point, and I'm so used to kind of discerning what people actually mean and what they're trying to do with an argument. I see every single thing they're trying to do with this, and it's all scummy. So scummy. All the arguments they're making are bad faith, total scummy arguments. They should be ashamed. Ashamed. It's just, so as long as there's EAs out there, we're not going to get common sense legislation. We're more likely to get either nothing or something so draconian it's stupid. See, and there again, like I've even bought loot boxes. I mean, that's the thing, like and I've mentioned this before, for Terra, I got my flying llama by opening loot boxes. And I ended up only having to open 3 or something before I got the mount that I wanted. And it might have taken more than that, but it'll still end up being like a way cheaper than if I would just bought it outright, which you can just buy them outright as well. It's just more expensive. And there again, it is taking advantage of the gambling aspect, but it's like, as long as I'm able to do that, but somebody under 18 isn't, I'm okay with that. So, yeah. But, yeah, surprise, surprise. Corporate folks be corporating.
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, that was actually quite a bit. So, I think that's kind of all we're going to really cover. I guess I might mention a little bit of something in passing, because I don't think it deserves a huge mention. So Steam added a LGBTQ tag for games. So that's a thing. There's a little bit of discussion around that, but I mean, there's tags for literally everything on Steam. I mean, there's female protagonist tags. I mean, there's tags for a lot of different stuff. So I think I think it's good. It'll just make it a little bit easier for people to find content, and for people to avoid it, for those people that would be, for whatever reason, unsettled by, not cool with LGBTQ content. You know what? Truth in advertising. Make it clear which games are and which games aren't. Of course, it'll be misused, but whatever. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to throw that in passing.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if it's your thing, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like.
But yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be cool, especially for some people that do want, are actually all about wanting better representation in media, and it'll make it a little bit easier to find that stuff. But yeah, in any case, it's very much a side note. But that's pretty much all the news for this week.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, no, we flew through it.
Anything you want to add?
Let's see. Well, with the new patch coming out for a while next week, I will be streaming it again. I'm switching from Rogue to Ellie Shaman. So it'll be an interesting twist, because it'll be the first time I'm rating progression and new content as a caster ranged, as opposed to playing melee all my rating career. So
cool.
Yep.
I'll have to check. Yeah. I'll have to check your stream whenever I'm not watching GDQ.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. But yeah, so if you wanted to contact us here at the podcast, what's that email?
That email address is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
Indeed, that is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. I don't know I don't think we got any letters.
Well, I don't know if we did, because Charlie is the one who holds all the cards when it comes to the email, so
yeah.
I'll just assume we got great mail praising us for our job well done, even though they wouldn't have known until this aired in the first place. I'll just assume that's how it went because I don't know what's in the mailbox.
Yeah, if we're missing a message, we will definitely get to it next week. I'm not sure, but thank you so much, all of you that send in messages, send in emails. That means a lot to us. Thank you for commenting on our IGs, on the Wicked Awesome Cast IG, and yeah, thank you for the stuff.
What's the spells and sounds down the show notes below?
Yeah, etc.
That's the thing that
etc.
etc.
So yeah, all our contact information and what we are on social media. It's all in the show notes where you can our IG, our our various social media, our Facebook. Yeah, you can find it in the show notes. Yes, indeed. And so, well, you want to take us out?
Sure. Cue the match.